Marku, chapter 15. And immediately in the morning, the chief priests, with the elders and scribes, and the whole council, held a consultation, and bound Yeshua, and carried him away, and delivered him up to Pilate. And Pilate asked him, art thou being the king of the Yehudim? And he answering saith to him, Thou art saying. And the chief priests accused him of many things. And Pilate again asked him, saying, Answerest thou nothing? Behold how many things they accuse thee of. But Yeshua no more answered anything, insomuch that Pilate marveled. Now at the festival he used to release to them one prisoner, whom they asked of him. And there was one called Barabbas, having been bound with them that had made insurrection, men who in the insurrection had committed murder. And the multitude went up and began to ask him to do just as he usually did for them. And Pilate answered them, saying, Will ye that I release to you the king of the Yehudim? For he perceived that for envy the chief priests had delivered him up. But the chief priests stirred up the multitude, that he should rather release Barabbas to them. And Pilate again answered and said to them, What then shall I do to him whom ye call the king of the Yehudim? And they cried out again, Crucify thou him! And Pilate said to them, Why? What evil hath he done? But they cried out exceedingly, Crucify thou him! And Pilate, wishing to content the multitude, released to them Barabbas, and delivered Yeshua, having whipped him, so that he be crucified. And the soldiers led him away within the court, which is the praetorium, and they called together the whole cohort. And they clothed him with purple, and plaiting a crown of thorns, they put it on him. And they began to salute him, Be thou rejoicing, O King of the Yehudim! And they smote his head with a reed, and spat upon him, and setting the knees, they were worshipping to him. And when they had mocked him, they took off from him the purple, and put on him his garments, and they are leading him out, so that they crucify him. And they compel one passing by, Simon of Kurene, coming from the country, the father of Alexandro and Rufus, to go with them, that he might bear his cross. And they bring him to the place Golgotha, which is, being interpreted, the place of a skull. And they offered him wine mingled with myrrh, but he received it not. And they are crucifying him, and part his garments among them, casting a lot upon them, what each should take. And it was the 3rd hour, and they crucified him. And the superscription of his accusation was written over, The King of the Yehudim. And with him they are crucifying 2 robbers, one on his right hand, and one on his left. And they that passed by railed on him, wagging their heads, and saying, Ha! Thou that destroyest the temple, and buildest it in 3 days, save thyself, and come down from the cross. In like manner also the chief priests, mocking him among themselves with the scribes, said, He saved others, himself he cannot save. Let the Anointed, the King of Israel, now come down from the cross, that we may see and believe. And the ones having become together crucified with him were reproaching him. And when the 6th hour was come, there was darkness over the whole land until the 9th hour. And at the 9th hour Yeshua cried with a loud voice, Elohi, Elohi, lama sabachthani, which is, being interpreted, my God, why didst thou forsake me? And some of them that stood by, when they heard it, said, Behold, he calleth Eliah. And one ran, and filling a sponge full of vinegar, put it on a reed, and gave him to drink, saying, Let be, let us see whether Eliah cometh to take him down. And Yeshua uttered a loud voice and expired. And the veil of the temple was torn in two from the top to the bottom. And when the centurion who stood over against him saw that he so expired, he said, Truly this human was being a son of a god. And there were also women beholding from afar, among whom were both Maria Magdalene and Maria the mother of Jacob the Less, and of Yoseto and Salome, who, when he was in Galilee, followed him and served to him, and many other women that came up with him to Jerusalem. And evening already having become, since it was preparation, that is, the day before the Shabbat, there came Yosef of Arimathea, a counselor of honorable estate, who also himself was looking for the kingdom of the God. And he boldly went in to Pilate, and asked for the body of Yeshua. And Pilate marveled if he were already dead, and calling to him the centurion, he asked him whether he had been any while dead. And when he learned it of the centurion, he granted the corpse to Yosef. And he, having brought a linen cloth, and having taken him down, wound him in the linen cloth, and laid him in a tomb which had been hewn out of a rock, and he rolled a stone against the door of the tomb. And Maria Magdalene and Maria the mother of Yoseto beheld where he was laid.